Hello, Amy Downs from Yukon, Oklahoma. How are you?
Hello, Mike Reilly, voice of Ironman.
It is so good to see your smiling face. You know, we're going to talk about from 1995 to 2017 when you came down that finish chute at Ironman Arizona. I've kind of told everybody about your story before we got on here with the interview, but you were overweight. You were in the Oklahoma City bombing. You find yourself all by yourself for 6 hours. And the first question I have is, a lot of us, when something bad happens to us, they ask God, "Oh my gosh, if you get me out of this, I'll do this, I'll do that." And you literally said, "God, I'll change my life if I get out of this." And you kept that promise to Him and to yourself, didn't you?
I have done my best. I'm not perfect, but I don't take my second chance lightly.
That was a huge second chance. So you are in a situation in your life where you're not that happy with yourself, you're overweight, your relationships aren't that great, and then it's amazing how fate happens and how bad that situation was in Oklahoma City. It ended up to be a very positive thing for you, didn't it?
It did actually. Now, I wouldn't have thought that, for probably a couple of years. But, having a near death experience for a lot of people sort of creates a desire to live their life to the fullest. Because once you realize and you see so clearly how fragile it is, and if you face death with regrets, you don't want to go through that again. So, because of that, it really did spur me on to make a lot of changes in my life.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Go
would
ahead.
say the way I responded to what happened to me ended up being a very positive thing over my life.
And I am so happy you put it into print. Hope is a verb right there in your new book because reading it just there's so many things I didn't know of what you went through and one of the biggest battles was obviously, okay, I've got to change my life. What do I do? But then you kind of discovered, well, okay, I can eat right, I can start doing this, and you kind of discovered the bike, didn't you? It was like you
Yeah,
became this little girl again, didn't you?
I did. I discovered the bike. And I remember riding the first time around a trail around our lake, which was maybe 9 miles. But I finished that 9 miles, and I am not kidding. I'm like, where is my medal? Like, I could not have felt more like an Olympic champion than I did riding my bike 9 miles. Never would I've dreamed you're going to ride your bike 112 miles. Um, it's such freedom. The bike to me is freedom.
Well, you are one shining example of making sure that freedom carries you on through your life. Then all of a sudden, you discovered triathlons. How did that happen?
Oh my gosh. You know, I think probably like some people, you ride a bike and then somebody talks you into running. So you end up like, okay, I'm going to maybe in the winter, I'm going to ride my bike in the summer. And then some triathlete says to you, if you just swim, you could do a triathlon. So
Oh,
a friend of mine talked me into doing a super sprint triathlon. I did not know how to swim, and I signed up for it and then went and got a swim coach to learn to swim in 5 weeks. I did not know how to swim. So in 5 weeks, I learned to swim, which in the end, the lanes, it was in a pool, the lanes were so crammed, and a guy in front of me they were slow. And so I ended up dog paddling because I didn't know how to pass. So I learned to swim, and I ended up dog paddling my first super sprint triathlon.
well, you got through it just getting through the water, and those darn triathletes always trying to convince people to do triathlons. It's something else. But then all of a sudden, let's take us to 2017. That's when we first met. and you were doing Ironman Arizona. In Arizona that year wasn't a bad weather year. It was a good year, and you came into the finish line, and I had known about you, and we were waiting, and you ended up being the final finisher at Ironman Arizona at 16 hours and 50 minutes. And describe what it was like to make that left-hand turn to come down that chute, because it goes from 1995 when you're laying in the rubble in that building in Oklahoma City to coming down that finish line at Ironman Arizona in 2017.
Well, I have to say, you describe it perfectly on page 223 of your book. So you're describing waiting for her. And then you can see the struggle. Good Lord, I do interviews all the time, and now I'm going to cry. You have nothing left. You wanted to do this thing, and now you don't know if you can. And you don't know if you can in the time. But then you see the lights, and you hear the voice. And you hear your voice saying, let's help her get to the finish line. And you hear that crowd. And then you see you standing at the finish line waiting to declare that you're an Ironman. And it is hands down best experience of my life. Absolutely best experience of my life.
When you came out of that, after that finish, were you a different person?
Yes. And I will tell you that to this day in business, the hurdles that we're facing due to COVID-19, I'm the CEO of a financial institution. We're facing some big hurdles. But knowing that I can overcome with dedication, with training, with intention, that I was able to do an Ironman, like I can do anything. That's how I feel.
Oh.
It has given me so much confidence in all areas of my life.
And being a college dropout and going back and then working yourself through the financial world and a CEO and an Ironman finisher. But then now you're kind of a spectator, because you've got a lot of your friends doing the VR series by Ironman.
Yes.
So tell us about that a little bit. How come you're not jumping into it? And we want you to, we need those participants and the spectators, and you're spectating a lot of your friends, aren't you?
I am. Now, if you could hook me up with a surgeon that could give me a couple of good nude knees, then I'm all in. But right now I'm having to give my knees a rest. So I'm on the bike. So I'm focused on the bike. I'm cheering my friends on. Then I'm watching them do the virtual races. It is so cool. That is one great thing about social, is being able to see all of the triathletes posting, their training and their virtual races. And that is really cool.
That is cool. And it's combining and pulling together the community like I have never seen it before. So over 100,000 people have signed up for the VR series, and it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's fantastic. You now are always on the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's responding in a positive way towards something awful. Like we always say, it's not so much what happens to you, but how you choose to respond to it. And that was my motto after April 19th. Well, that's what Ironman is doing. All of these people who had their races canceled, that we couldn't help it. Like, we're in this environment, we can't control this, but we can choose how we respond. And Ironman said, oh, Rona's not stopping us. We're having a race. And all of the triathletes said, okay, we're in. Like, we're in.
And they are. It's fantastic. So you're on the speaker circuit too, going out and giving motivational speeches, talking about your story. What do you think? The travesty of what happened to you, but what do you think really resonates with the audience when you do those talks, and what do they walk away with?
I get a lot of messages afterwards, and it really ranges from people who, want to start a business, or they want to get healthy, or whatever that deep desire is inside, I try to paint a picture for them that they can accomplish amazing, impossible things if they'll just start living their life with intention and doing a little bit each day. It's just like Ironman. When you think about doing a 17-hour event, you think, there's no way I can do that. But you can picture a mile. You can picture maybe running a mile. Okay, then 2 miles. Consistency over time leads to amazing transformation. So I just try to break it down for them so they can say, hey, if this girl right here, 350 pounds, dropped out of college, couldn't pass a math class, if I can go on to become a CEO, with a master's degree, if I could go on to become an Ironman, like, what's possible for you? And so I try to get them to see that.
Well, Amy, I love your line, living with intention, because that's certainly what you're doing, I think, every day of your life. And you're a shining example to all of us of how even the worst thing in life can turn into the best positive of life. And that's what's happened with you. So, Amy Downs, do you have any more triathlons in your future? You have to get the knees fixed or whatever. But we want you back. We want you back at a start line.
So I secretly do. I haven't even told my husband this, but I secretly have sort of this thing in my head that, okay, so I did an Ironman when I turned 50. I told everybody I was one and done. But then I'm like, if I have some new knees at 60, what if I could come back at 60 and PR and beat my time?
all you got to do is go 16:49 and you got it.
I got it. Exactly.
Well, I know all of us want you to come back at 60. If you can get that done, that would just be so beautiful. Come back to Arizona or wherever.
Tulsa. You'll be in Tulsa. I'll come to Tulsa.
Tulsa, that's right. Right there and, right near you. So that's fantastic. Well, Amy, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and you are an inspiration. You're living your life like a lot of people should live their life. And I hope it rubs off on a lot of our audience, because what you've gone through, none of us can ever imagine. But we can imagine getting to that finish line of an Ironman. We can imagine becoming a CEO, and we can imagine being inspired every day of our lives because of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It was truly an honor to talk to you.
Take care, Amy. Aloha.
All right.